Christy O'Connor, second to the 18th. He's got the right club.
Lovely flight. It's a shame it's 25 yards left.
I'm going to leave y'all on one thought and then we'll leave. I'm a big believer in fate. I have a good feeling about this. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Oh, would you look at that?
It's a 4-iron, man.
Stay still if you don't mind, please. I know you're nervous, but I am too. Touch your class, baby.
Touch your class.
Touch your class.
Hello there, and you're very welcome to the Three Off the Tee podcast. And this week's episode, I'm joined by my co-host, Ian St. John. How are you today, Ian?
I'm good. How are you? I'm good. Kind of frightening times still, as we were speaking about last week, with this COVID virus. So, yeah, practicing all the safe measures and that, but it's a massive inconvenience, but a necessary one as well. And it's just a very weird time. I was only thinking, actually, you'll laugh at this one or you'll cry, it'll be one or the other, that Liverpool would have been playing Crystal Palace, I think, at the weekend, and we are more than likely going to be lifting the trophy at the weekend. So I'm a bit down because it hasn't happened yet, Harry, you know? Yeah,
well, you might be twice as down yet, Ian, because hopefully they'll ride off the whole season with a bit
not
of luck.
Not a prayer.
Let's not talk about football. It's scary times. Things don't seem to have kind of progressed on much in the last week. If anything, things are only kind of reaching or about to reach a peak. So, yeah, we could be in this mode of self-isolation for many weeks to come. But we've got to keep the best side out, and I think today's podcast will be an interesting piece with a good character from the world of golf. And I'm looking forward to see what he has to say on all things golf. You've been a fan of Andrew's for a while, Ian?
I have. And do you know what? And I said it to you, and how many times in the last few days, I got to ask him this question. And I never did. I totally forgot about it. Was I've had a 25-year bet going, I'd say at this stage, between myself and a friend, as to is his nickname or not Hot Pie, right? Because it's cold, tart, hot pie. Now, as you know and I know, I kind of Googled it last night, but I really needed to hear from the horse's mouth, and I'm going to have to wait another while longer so I can prove it to a buddy of mine. But he was great crack, wasn't he? Very interesting. It gave both sides of his career. Seems to be loving life. Seems to be loving golf at the moment. But just not really looking. Doesn't mind not playing or anything like that. So yeah, look, he's a great character. And talks nicely about the team at Sky Sports, and I thought it was great, and it was a good laugh as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. And I'm sure in the coming days, once this episode is out there, we'll tweet him and we'll ask him to confirm or deny that nickname from many moons ago. You'll get your money eventually, Ian. Right, folks? Enjoy this listen. Andrew Coltart, former European Tour player and now on-course commentator with Sky Sports. He's today's podcast. Today we're delighted to be joined for today's episode by Andrew Coltart, a Walker Cup player from the 1991 matches held here in Ireland at Portmarnock, European Tour winner and a Ryder Cupper from 1999, current Sky Sports on-course commentator and well-respected golf analyst and proud Scotsman. Andrew, you're very welcome to the Three Off the Tee podcast.
Thanks very much, Chubb. Harry, you've got a hell of a memory.
I'm nearly as old as you, Andrew.
Probably
Google's great, isn't it? Listen, Andrew, if I could take you back to 91, right? The pinnacle, I suppose, of anyone's kind of amateur career. And I'm trying to think your memories really of Portmarnock, because you played, I suppose you played Phil Mickelson in one of the singles matches, and you played also Jay Seagull, which would, I mean, what a career that man had. So 47 years of age at the time, but I mean, he played 9 Walker Cups. I think he captained them twice. I mean, you're obviously playing, let's say, their best player. And I'm just wondering, what were your memories of the time up in Portmarnock here?
Well, fantastic. It's always great going over there, and thoroughly loved the course. I think a little bit of fun. I had Gary McNeil, who was caddying for me in my bag. Gary, of course, over there at Royal Portrush, and Jay Siegel had Gary Murphy caddying for him. so clearly, Jay was really going to struggle. With Murphy in the bag, no, look, it was a fantastic time. It was obviously the pinnacle, as you said, of the amateur game. Playing against, the Americans doesn't get any bigger than that. We had a good chance. Basically, things didn't work out after the first morning foursomes. I think we went down 4-0 the first morning foursomes, and then pretty much matched them game from then on in, but ultimately lost. But yeah, I had a couple of big games, obviously, with Phil Mickelson one day, and then went out and played Jay Siegel the next. But it was a tremendous experience, obviously. Phil was still trying to learn the art of being sort of politically correct and things like that in those days.
We won't mention what happened. We'll leave it.
We should.
Listen, you turned pro then the following year and got out on tour. I know you went back to the tour school. I think you chickenpox. Was it the first year that you had to cancel?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, just feeling really strange. Just wasn't feeling good at all. And these little sort of spots were starting to sort of appear. I was like, what the bloody hell is this? And mind you, by the time they'd appeared, the sort of nausea had gone. But I was weak and didn't feel very good at all, and this was sort of like the pre-qualifying for the tour school, so I didn't even get there. So that was pretty disappointing.
And you went up to Sweden, I think, then, wasn't it? And the Swedish tour got a kind of a challenge tour card out of that, but it didn't matter because you actually got your card for the European tour in '93. That's right.
Yeah, phenomenal. You have to dig deep to find all that. Right, yeah, went over there, loved it. Great little mini tour they had. They had a lot of wonderful tournaments. Obviously, the Swedes were pretty much the front runners in sort of amateur professional golf round about that time. They really sort of got the ball rolling with how the professional attitude and discipline that their amateur golfers had. Probably as a result of that, they created a good sponsorship. Good interest, good little mini tour over there in Sweden, and I was the other great thing is that I was made to feel very welcome as an outsider. A lot of places, a lot of countries, possibly would have resented somebody going over there, seen as maybe trying to take their money, but they very much welcomed them, and I absolutely loved going over there to play.
And Andrew, if we talk about those early years on tour and I suppose your experience gained and the whole experience of being out on tour back then in 93, 94, and obviously we know you had early success winning in Australia in 94, but just talk us through maybe some of those early years, maybe, the experience of being on tour. It was probably a very different place to what you see now when you commentate.
Yeah, it is different, Harry. I see a lot of young guys now coming on, and the same thing obviously happens in the ladies tour. They very much have a tremendous amount of self-belief. They feel that they are equal, if not as good as some of the best players that are already on tour, that have probably taken 10 years to establish themselves. When I came on tour in '93, I was very much distracted. It was different. You were obviously looking after your own stuff. Admittedly, you had a manager who was helping you out, but you were fundamentally sort of on your own rather than a group of like national teammates or things like that. But I came out on tour and just got totally distracted. There was now guys you idolise, some heroes that you were taking the fairways with, and you're going down this hole and instead of looking at the shot that's in front of you, you're looking across the fairway and seeing Langer or Faldo or Ballesteros, players like that. It was surreal. It was fantastic. Unfortunately, it had consequences, and the consequences were that out of about 28 events, I think I made 9,000. I didn't make. I managed to win £9,363 and 17 pence. And when you win £9,363, you take that pence because I think by that stage I was probably about 20 or 30 grand in debt, which came as a bit of a shock for a young lad for the first time.
Yeah, but hold on now. We better slow you down and focus on some of the real good stuff, because one of my memories growing up watching tournament golf, I suppose, the Dunhill Links, and that for me was an absolutely fantastic event. It's a shame in ways that it only lasted as long as it did, and I wonder will an event like that ever kind of be reborn. But talk us through, obviously, Scotland's win in 1995. That must be a lovely memory for you to have, to play with the guys that you did, to beat the calibre of player that you did. I see you actually squeaked past Ireland very luckily in the semi-final. That didn't go past me. But talk about that Dunhill Links event, and that was a big win for you, and you performed fantastically well all through that week.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I was, after 93, I pretty much managed to sort of get my toe through the door in 94, keep my card, and I think I finished about 42nd or something in the order of merit that year. So I now started to believe that I should be on tour. I think I'd won in Australia that winter, so we're starting to be pretty confident and had a lot of self-belief. Funnily enough, went to St Andrews not on the best personal form at that particular time, but yeah, sure, was playing in a wonderful team with two guys who were battling it out at that stage for the order of merit. That was Sam Torrance and Colin Montgomery. That went their battle went right down to the final event at Valderrama of the season. So two guys that were obviously in incredible form. But I love St Andrews. I've been going there since I was 12 years old. My father used to take me up there every October when the season was slowing down and we got a chance to go and play. And I knew the golf course like the back of my hand. Just loved it. Just was inspired. Standing in front of the R&A clubhouse there, and yeah, went out, enjoyed it. Had a good tussle with Philip Walton, who of course by that stage was already a Ryder Cup hero, and managed to sort of nick him pretty much. I think it was just very, very close, but it was stroke play, match play, so it was it always went down the 18th, but there was only about one shot in it or something at the time, and then. Sam pretty much was he took the captaincy, so he got us in and gave us a chat in the R&A clubhouse, which in itself is quite special. We sat round there, Monty, Sam, myself, and tried to figure out how things would pan out, the next day. And as it worked out, I played Tony Johnson in the first match. Sam played Mark McNulty in the second match, and Monty played Nick Price. And just one of these things. Gee whiz, it just that kind of drug that you wish you could somehow bottle, almost sort of in the zone right from the word go. I think by the time I'd got to the 8th hole, I think I was at least 3, possibly 4 under par by the time I got to the 8th, and I holed in one at the 8th. And so Tony was kind of up against it. I remember Sam coming up to me in the back of the 11th and saying, come on, concentrate, knuckle down. Still a tremendous amount of golf to come, obviously, around the old course. And I managed to end up going around there. I think shot 66, and beat Tony. I beat Tony by a few shots. And then Sam came up in the group behind, and he took down McNulty in a close match, which was very, 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 very tight. And it didn't really matter what Colin had done in the final match. And unfortunately for him, Nick Price managed to best Montgomery. But it meant that basically we all won 4 matches in the week and all lost 1. Finally Scotland managed to get the monkey off its back, managed to win the Dunhill Cup. Ireland had already done so by that stage. So it was a massive, massive thrill for us and a great honour.
Ireland had done so twice, Andrew. Yeah, twice. No, it's a fantastic event. Do you ever see something like that kind of coming back? I know they've obviously changed it into the Dunhill Links that it is now, but that's a different format. But maybe it's nostalgia, I don't know. But a 3-man team representing your nation was a fantastic event.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, a lot of nostalgia. I think, Harry, I always loved it. I loved it from the first week of the season. I always wanted to qualify for that 3-man team to represent your country. I don't know whether it's got anything to do with, all through your amateur days. That was always, an aspiration to qualify. It was just great at the end of the year. A wonderful bonus of representing, putting on, your case, the green sweater, my place, the blue sweater. It just meant so much to you. I understand why it changed, but yeah, there's. It gives a player a tremendous sense of accomplishment and pride when they get an opportunity to play for their country, and at the moment these events are sadly missed. I don't really see it coming back because the schedule is incredibly concentrated. You're talking more and more nowadays of individual business people who are doing whatever it takes to maximise their potential in the majors and the WGC events, and events like that potentially would maybe come as an added distraction, unfortunately, and would struggle to sort of fit in. You wouldn't necessarily always get the top 3 players in the country.
No, that's for sure. That's a fact. Absolutely, yeah.
Listen, if we go on to your wins then, we're looking at 97 and you've won the Australian PGA Championship for the second time. And, you've won the Order of Merit down there as well. Was that a thing where you had planned to go down there and play a bit, or was it born out of maybe seeing yourself more a world tour kind of a player? No, I hadn't really seen myself as a world tour kind of player. I loved the golf courses. I loved going down to Australia. There was a lot of Australian players and New Zealanders playing on the European tour. It was great crack. The competition was fantastic. The weather was always great. I always hated the crap weather back home, as you boys are familiar with that. I'm very it was never great preparation. That fundamentally was why I went down there. It was preparation for the next season on the European tour, because you cannot prepare, back home in the conditions that we face. So I took my fiance at the time, eventually my wife Emma, down there. Had like a busman's holiday. Just loved it. The travelling, the golf courses, the food, the hotels, the weather. Just absolutely fantastic. Again, embraced. And, there was some people that didn't like the fact that I go down and play, but that actually keyed me up even more. I actually just loved sticking it to them. So went down there, played well, played nicely. Didn't know. Well, the Order of Merit was still up for grabs by the time I came back to Europe and played in Qatar, and I had the option of either playing in Qatar or going back to attempt to make it in my control that I was going to be the Australasian Order of Merit winner. But as it turned out, I managed. Good decision, Andrew.
And I also managed to win Qatar, so it was a win-win.
Yeah. And listen, that brings you on to then to your, we're looking at your Order of Merit. Then you're the 7th in 96, going to 10th in 98. Obviously, with that first win on the European Tour. Your memories of that week, obviously, you were saying it was a bit of a, I don't know, really was a toss-up between trying to go back down to Australia or play in Qatar. But I mean, great golf course, great field, and your first win in the European Tour. I mean, everything is progressing nicely, successful year. I mean, things are going fantastic.
Yeah, and that's it. The graph was very much heading in the positive direction. I saw myself as a European Tour player. I wanted to play in Europe. I wanted to, at that stage, the Order of Merit, the race to Dubai, finishing positions there, more so ever than a world ranking, which really hadn't sort of come in massively at that stage. It was sort of, Order of Merit positions, in effect, qualified you for the major championships and things like that. So that's what I was kind of looking to target, to try and play in the US Opens, obviously the Open, Masters and the PGA. So I had made up my mind that I was going to come back, and that maybe the focus was to try and do Europe to climb up those rankings to get those exemptions, and managing to win in Qatar was a great feeling. You now know that you are a European Tour, not just player, but a winner, a champion in the European Tour, and that there's a tremendous sense of accomplishment, obviously, that came with that.
I'm sure you have great memories of that week. When I did my little bit of research, Andrew, you beat a pretty serious field. Patrick Sholand would have been a guy I followed and really was a seriously good player. I think he won an Irish Open in Ballybunion when it was held there, going back a number of years ago. Also in that field, a bit further down the leaderboard, Retief Goose and Darren Clark was in the top 10 per Ulrich Johansson, another Swede, our own Harrington and Olazabel a bit further down. So your memories of that week, or maybe even that final round and holding these kind of guys off?
Yeah, good question. It was a strange week because nobody had ever played the golf course before. It was new. First time we'd obviously been to Qatar, a developing country. In terms of building and infrastructure and things like that, it was probably about 10 years behind, Dubai in terms of what they were achieving. There was only one, I think, at the time, one hotel in the whole city. Hold on, go like this. Pest my pet out. So didn't really know what to expect. It was sort of uncharted territory. The golf course was good though. Like the golf course, like the fact that there was a fair degree of wind. I was at that stage a low ball player, so that didn't bother me. I was playing very well at the time, hitting a lot of fairways, hitting a lot of greens, putting okay. My memories are pretty much filled up with what happened the last day and who I was up against the last day. Although I was aware of those names in the field, I was never looking sort of behind to see where they were. I was looking in front to see who I was beating, what I felt I had to do, so to speak. So, at that stage, I took the tee with Andrew Sherborne. And I just remember just trying to block out who I was playing with, play my own game, and see where we got at the end of the week. And I got off to a good start. I think I was 2 under through 3, something like that. I can't remember what I was out in. I remember birthday in the 10th, and I remember things getting a little bit tight going down 15, which is a tough par 4. It was playing into the wind, and get a long to medium iron in there, par. But then 16, I think I was one shot in front, and there's a lot can happen in the last 3 holes there in Qatar. A drivable par 4, 16, par 3, and a par 5 reachable in 2. And I managed to stick my drive out the right hand side, chip it in there close to about 3 feet, 4 feet, and hold the putt for a birdie in 16 to give me a two shot lead with 2 holes to play. Simple putt. Just played for the par down 17, middle of the green, 2 putts, and then 18. The rough wasn't as thick as it's ever been, so I could afford to hit it as far right as I possibly could, keep it as far away from the water. But I do remember getting the third shot up on, still not being completely cognizant as to what exactly I had to do from there, and I had to sort of take my caddy. What's this stage here? Where am I? What score am I on? What have I got to do from here? And he basically said, you've 3 putts to win. I managed to 2-putt and win by 2 shots, and tried to find a watering hole where I could celebrate.
No, brilliant. And when you look at it, 65 on Saturday and 67 then on Sunday to close the deal. So that's mightily impressive. I'm sure back then, maybe, and maybe even still now, golf was probably coming pretty easy to you then. Can you remember, I suppose, was there a huge amount of kind of technical thoughts in your head, or were you just playing loads of golf and playing well and things were easy like they were for all of us 20 years ago, probably?
Harry, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. No, golf was easy. It felt like I could make the cut with one hand tied behind my back. I just loving life. Playing with my peers, people that I'd looked up to, competing with some players that obviously I'd grown up playing against. I loved the environment. Everything was new. It was fresh. It was fun. Weather was great. Courses were great. And geez, you were getting paid, at the time, pretty decent money for doing that. It was just had about a smile on my face from which unfortunately wasn't going to last.
Hi, Porter Carrington here. You're listening to 3 Off the Tee podcast.
Listen, if we go on to, say, the Ryder Cup in 99, right, and you get a wild card pick, and I'm thinking, going back maybe, right, a couple of months beforehand, you were in the third last group, I think, with Tiger Woods at Carnoustie, and you're drawn to then play Tiger, obviously, this time. But it was kind of unusual, I think, for three players to be benched, I think, really till Sunday. And how did that come across to you? Were you told each day? Were you told maybe on the Wednesday or Thursday, look, Andrew, you're going to sit out and you're only going to play Sunday? Because, Saturday night, it looked like it was the best decision Mark James could have made. But then everything kind of turned on Sunday. And I know we spoke to Porter Carrington only a few weeks ago, and he told us that he was nearly going to be in the same position himself, only that I think Ollie Olazabal had approached Mark James and said, listen, I can't do every round. I can't do the 5 rounds. So I'm just wondering, how did that come about? What were your feelings on it? And there must have been then, I suppose, a tremendous amount of pressure for you then on the singles, but also maybe by the fact that you're a wild card as well, even though you just barely missed out on qualification.
Ian, funny enough, I'd never heard Porrig's explanation there, which I think is interesting. Look, the best, we weren't told on the Wednesday that we would be sitting out right until the Sunday. We were going through our normal practice routines and games. Playing to the crowd deliberately, because that is what you have to do when you're in America. You have to quieten the crowd. This was, of course, at the time, I don't know whether you remember, where some American players were complaining that they should be getting paid to play. So the European team tried to take advantage of that by really playing to the crowds. These people that pay a fortune to go and watch the American superstars becoming richer and richer and richer and richer, and we thought, hey, this is a great opportunity for us to get the fans on side, which they were for most of the week. We just went about our business, and of course, as you said, the team was doing well. Now, that was all that mattered to me. I was not the kind of person that would stand there and say, hey, bloody hell, I've not had a game yet. You've got to pick me. What the hell are you doing? Team cohesion is huge. Everybody. There's got to be no fracture, no breakup. Everybody's got to play their part. And if that means sitting on your backside and sucking it up, of course I didn't want to sit there and not play. I wanted to get out there. But if that meant that the team was going to perform, then ultimately, that's all what mattered to me. The team, I think it was you, Harry, as you said, we were 4 points up going into Sunday singles. This was a team that had 7 rookies in it. Now, remember that was unheralded. This was an American soil. We were 4 points up, right, with 7 rookies in the team. Now, you imagine that today. The press coverage that would get would be just incredible alone. Now, yes, it transpired, obviously, that we lost, and maybe when you break down and look at it, I would have hoped that more experienced players like Olazabal would have stepped up to the plate and said, listen, 5 matches is a match too far for me. Not so much to give us a chance to play, but to make sure that person who was obviously a more important cog in the wheel a better chance come Sunday of being physically and mentally fit, so as they could go down and they could take the American counterpart down, and we could win the Ryder Cup. Now, unfortunately, some of those players decided that they were good enough, big enough, strong enough to play 5 matches, and maybe that is part of the responsibility of them, part of the responsibility of the captain and the vice captains, who were all experienced, to say, listen, you can't do that. It takes an awful lot out of you. But a lot of them were young, or some of them were young, some of them were fit, some of them were playing really, really, really good golf. But ultimately, those guys lost their matches in the singles, and that proved to be part of the turning point in the outcome of the whole match. I don't really blame the captain too much as well, because I remember sitting in the team room where he had a notebook, and he had, along with his vice captains, several sheets, several pages of how he wanted the team to play out from the first number to the last number. And we passed this around and we talked about it for 30, 40 minutes, and we all agreed on page B, or whatever it was, or page C was the way that the team should get sent out. So, there was certainly plenty of discussion. You could possibly argue that our overconfidence was our weakness, because we thought that the way things were going, one of the guys in the top 2 matches, which was Clark and Westwood, would win at least one of their matches. Maybe a rookie would win again, and then we only needed 2 more points, I think, and that would be it. And we'd do it. But top 2 guys went down. Then the next 3 who had not played before went down, myself included. And at that stage, the American crowd really got behind their team, and that momentum sort of carried them through in the end. Personally speaking, my match, by that, I wasn't under a lot of pressure to go and perform. I was so desperate to get out there. You just couldn't hold me back. I was raring to go, desperate to get out there. You could actually argue that Tiger wasn't a pressure match, because nobody was expecting me to win. I wasn't expecting myself to win, but I had a chance to win. 18 holes, 4 rounds, pretty much a one in almost a 1% chance. But 18 holes, that was possible. Match play, who knows, that was possible. So arguably there wasn't really a lot of pressure. I'm sure I was nervous, but there wasn't a lot of pressure. And once you get into the game, I sort of love being out there. But it wasn't to be, and ultimately we lost. But geez, we gave them a fight.
I just think from the outside, as spectators and of golf, how did you actually find out? Was it just in terms of that you were playing Tiger, and your initial thoughts?
How did I find out I was playing Tiger? I was sitting down watching the Golf Channel that night. I think the draw might have been announced on the Golf Channel that night, or something like that. Is that right? Anyway, I remember. So I'm playing Tiger. Great. Something of an 8 tournament win streak or something like that. So that's no problem at all. Sat in Torrance. Torrance was brilliant. Torrance was he was one of the best men you could have in a team environment. He was just fantastic. He came up to me and he almost sort of like grabs me, but fantastic. Maybe threw the odd expletive in. This is tremendous. He said, "You can take him." He said, "You can have this guy." He said, 18 holes, you can go out there and you can take this man down. He said, "Absolutely." And you know what? When you listen to that man talk, you just think, "Hey, bloody hell, maybe I can. Maybe I've got a chance." Sam was tremendous in that kind of environment. I do also remember definitely watching the Golf Channel, and they had a pundit on, a guy called Mark Lai, who used to play the PGA Tour, and they were going through. All the pundits were going through the draw for the singles, and so-and-so's playing such and such. I see that going this way. I see that going that way. And of course, they were slightly swayed towards the American team. Anyway, Matt Lyon, I found this a little bit patronising, a little bit quite demeaning. I mean, at the end of the day, if you play in the Ryder Cup, chances are you're a pretty decent player, eh? And Matt Lai said, "I see this one 8-7. You know, Woods Coltart 8-7," and I just and that actually helped me. I just thought, A, who the hell are you? And B, I thought that's brilliant. If you think that, I'll just show you. I just thought that was quite demeaning, given the fact that I'd already won. As you pointed out, I won in Australia. I won in an Order of Merit. You know, I can golf the ball a little bit, and I'm representing Europe. So to go out there and that was anyway. I think he had a job rather than a career as a TV pundit. So that kind of was that. And my wife had also actually given birth the week before, and I remember she phoned up, and she's having trouble with the little one sleeping, and the little one's crying all the time, and she's crying, she's not sleeping, and she's not feeding, and I'm like, "Don't care, darling. I'm playing Tiger Woods." Yeah. Slightly more things to worry about, and you do your best with that. I've got to deal with it. And I went out, and Tiger was great to play with. He was fine. He was pumped up. He was wanting to play. We'd played with one another a couple of times prior to that. Obviously, the guy's a legend, a golfing legend, and it was 3-2 in the end. I gave him a good go. I played all right. I actually putted quite nicely, and I just absolutely loved the whole experience. It didn't go according to plan, but what an honour to slip that blazer on.
Porrig, funny enough, Porrig, when we spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, even though he said that was his rookie Ryder Cup appearance, and obviously look at a losing one in the end, but he actually puts it down as his most special Ryder Cup occasion. I suppose it's your first. It's his first, and even though it was a losing experience, he reckoned that the atmosphere there that week was just unbelievable. And I suppose it's the whole buzz of it being your first and being new. How did you find the atmosphere through that match? I know there was a couple of issues. Maybe there was a lost ball on 9 and stuff like that. But how did you find the atmosphere? I suppose it changed a little bit as the round went on then, and the Americans were starting to kind of put some blue on the board, or red on the board, if I give pardon.
No, it did, Harry. It did. The atmosphere was incredible. We were protected as players because we were inside the ropes. It was family, friends who were outside the ropes who were having to mingle with these people. There was certain tactics going on. Like my coach at the time, Tim Barter, had witnessed that. As a group of Americans had studied European Tour pre-shot routines, and were intending to go out there, and as the player got to top the backswing, they were going to scream.
Really?
He identified that. I was so in my game that eventually, when I did get the chance, that. I loved being the underdog, and I loved it when folk were against you. That inspired me. It took the pressure off rather than put pressure on. If people's expectations was that I was going to win or I should win, that would have been tougher. To go out there and compete against the players, but against the crowd. Just the hairs in the back of your neck stand up. That was just awesome. Like I said, it was difficult for some of those that were closest to you, but it never got personal. And unfortunately, I think more recently some things have got a little bit more personal.
If we look at just at Tiger Woods, I know he played it was a bit of a prank. He played on you a couple of years ago there in Paris, and he presented you with a belt. You tell us about that?
Well, there's two Tigers to it. I mean, apparently going back that one at the Ryder Cup. Now, I don't remember this one because my head's plugged somewhere where it probably shouldn't be. But I'm standing on that first tee, and Tiger comes up to me and he says, "I know you haven't played this all. It's a dog leg right to left, but I didn't hear it. I'm still thinking, Jesus, calm the heartbeat, breathe. Anyway, we have it in bogey 5, so it sails in right for that in any case. I think this one is, I think the one you're referring to, Ian, is last year before, or 2 years ago now, before the Ryder Cup. Rich Beeemer, who's a good lad, he thought, I'm going to stitch Coltart up. He says, I'm going to get, I know Coltart's after this belt, because he was putting stuff on Twitter with the USA belt, which of course sticks labs in the back of my throat. So, okay, hey, listen, but, in order for balance, you got to get me a Ryder Cup one. So he goes, yeah, I'll do that. But he says, I've got an idea. So he approached Tiger at the Tour Championship, which Tiger, of course, went on to win, and said, listen, I'm going to do this for Coltart. And he says, and I'm going to get the result, stitched into the belt. Says, can you sign it for him or something? And Tiger says, I'll do better than that. He says, I'll present it to him. So I know nothing about this. And of course, Sky are completely, in on the whole thing. And at the Ryder Cup, something strange is going afoot. I can tell because I've got to be in areas that I'm not supposed to be in at certain times. And there's nobody there with me that should have been there with me if I was going to do something. So Beemer's got this brown bag. Hands the brown bag over to Tiger on the range, and Tiger, here, I got a wee present for you. Open up the bag. Nice belt, lovely belt, next belt. And open up the belt, of course, 3 and 2. There's 3. Very funny. So, so there you go.
You seem to, Andrew, you seem to get a couple of jibes off your fellow Sky Sports commentators. I was speaking to one of them there recently. Now, I won't say which one, but he obviously mentioned the fact that the big Hawaii 5-0 is coming up this year and your impending Senior Open debut in Sunningdale. I think he might have been on to you last night on a different platform as well. But are you expecting much of a following from your Sky Sports colleagues in midsummer if it goes ahead?
If it goes ahead, I don't know. I think maybe the nightmares I'm having about the opening tee shot are possibly going to put the markers on that. I have not 100% committed or even entered as we speak. Everything's very much up in the air at the minute. My last game of golf was in June, so I'm not entirely sure I'll be taking a fairway.
And tell me this, the same guy was wondering, have you ironed out some of those issues from the open zone last year? I think you can probably narrow down which guy it was now.
I got it one. Tried to have a wee go back at him this morning on Instagram. Listen, I've been traipsing the links at Royal Portrush all day from 6 o'clock in the morning. In fact, what am I even doing? I'm just falling into the trap. Yes, I'm not even going to attempt to justify what happened. A couple of little, one shank and a top or a thin with somebody else's 6-iron at 9 o'clock at night in the open zone. Yeah, it certainly didn't instill any confidence.
Poor defence, Andrew. Poor defence, now, in fairness.
Oh, God.
And listen, we've got a great team, a great team of folk. You don't see the people that are behind the scenes that do a tremendous job. We're front of the camera, we're at the pointy end. Most of the ideas come from the people on the other side. They're absolutely brilliant. It's not a massive team, it's a small team, but they do a great job, and it's a hell of a lot of fun just being a small part of it.
Yeah, it looks like, the over and back on Instagram and all the other social media, it looks like there's great fun, while at the same time being very professional and providing such a great commentary.
Paul McGinley here. You're listening to 3 Off the Tee podcast.
So many great times, you're on a high, and look, obviously there is a few dark times as well. I'm just looking at 2003, you're 46th on the Order of Merit. What happened the following year? Because I know it went kind of 198, and it just started to go downhill from there. Did something happen in terms of your game? Were you trying to change something? Were you not? Or is there any particular thing you can put down to how it started to disappear slightly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to the point that Harry made earlier on about how much fun I was having. I was enjoying it. It wasn't technical. Everything was great. So fast forward, actually, just after the Ryder Cup, so it's 4 years before that time, Ian, I was obviously picked to play the Ryder Cup. I didn't want to be picked. I wanted to qualify off my own bat. Having had a taste for the Ryder Cup, I wanted to qualify for the next one. So I think I was round about 70th in the world ranking. So I wanted to qualify for the Ryder Cup. I wanted to do whatever it took to qualify for the Ryder Cup. I remember coming back on a flight from Japan, listening to Thomas Bjorn and Lee Westwood talk about their golf swings and what they were doing with their golf swings. And I didn't really know what I was doing with my golf swing. And they were further up the rankings in the top 30 or 40 in the world. I thought, I've got to find out more. So I set about embarking on learning more about my golf swing, trying to improve my golf swing and trying to learn about my golf swing. And basically, to cut the story short, in doing that, I got completely lost. The golf swing was no longer my golf swing. It didn't feel like my golf swing. I couldn't feel the club head. As a result, confidence levels slowly started to shave off. Self-belief started to diminish. Got further and further away from winning. Well, actually, that's not true, because I won in 2001 at Slaley Hall, but I played horribly in the last round, was incredibly nervous, managed to hold some fantastic putts in the last 9 and hang on to win. But quality of strike, consistency, and knowing where the golf ball was going from the tee to the green was slightly alarming. And the slide just continued. I had more questions. I had less answers. The game no longer became fun. It became very testing. The pressure got ramped up. I think was it what you say 2004? Did you say I went down to 195?
Yeah.
2004, I went down to 195, and well, the tour was changing now by this time. We had World Championship event where the top 50 got in. We had what do we have? We pretty much had those, and of course world rankings now became very much part of it. And what I found out round about that time was when I got my tour card in '93, pretty much that enabled me to play for, not including majors because you had to qualify for them, but that enabled me to play for 73% of the available prize money of the European Tour that year. Fast forward 11 years, I get the tour card. Now, the tour's changed dramatically. I got almost an identical card, I think, back to play in 2005, whenever it was. But now I was only eligible to play in about 28% of the available prize fund. And that the goalpost had shifted massively, and that made it really, really, really hard to climb up those rankings. And of course, obviously, you've got to play better. So, of course, that's what I was continuing to set about doing that, continuing to. And by the way, when I said 23%, I still wasn't including the WGC events because they, for clarity and consistency, they weren't around in '94. So that was still an example of where the tour was going and coming from tour school, and now the money in some of the bigger events had gone up and everybody was playing, and some of the players coming from America, whatever, and tour school players were struggling to qualify to be exempt for those. So it became really. So of course you set about embarking, continuing to try to improve, and it basically just got to a point I was just holding on far too tight, and the golf game was slipping through the fingers. And the ability to, like I said before, do things one-handed, it now seemed that with two hands in the club, it was impossible to even make the cut. And trust me, that wasn't very enjoyable at all.
No, and we had Carl Morris on the show last week, and I know you did an interview with him a few weeks ago, and I know you worked with him a bit, and I think in the interview you were saying that you're on ranges, you're hitting ball after ball after ball. I mean, you're throwing everything at it, but they're all perfect lies, and as soon as the ball goes down into a dip, you're looking at it going, how the hell am I going to do this?
Absolutely.
And I think at one stage, I think you were on the range, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were asked to hit a fade, and you said no problem, but you couldn't do it. I mean, it was
absolutely right. Yeah, absolutely.
And going from a top tour player, like, I mean, that must be a devastating place, a very worrying place. Continue, and you're saying there about the 23%. I mean, okay, you're on the decline suddenly, and there's less opportunities to play. You're still a young enough man, and I suppose I can't understand how much pressure that must have been on top of you.
Yeah, I mean, that was right. I mean, that gives you an indication of how much I was trying to work on the technique, because I was spending hour upon hour hitting ball after ball after ball, working on technique, trying to put the club in a position, trying to put it in a position there, trying to put it in a position there, trying to put it in a position there, trying to do my hips in a position on the way down, not giving a toss where the golf ball was going, because that wasn't what I was being told to do. I was told to just golf swing, position, and as that became the focus. The focus was swing, not golf. So when, as you said, Ian, I was required to hit a fade, I could hit a fade. I couldn't do it. When I was required to hit a ball off of a dodgy lie sitting down, I didn't know how to. I'd forgotten how to play golf. I was playing swing all the time. I was working on my swing all the time. I'd forgotten how to do what I could do since I was 8 years old, and I blame myself obviously for that. But I also question, the coaching techniques at the time and stuff like that. Surely you've got to identify. It's not enough just to throw a template over a certain individual. Everybody swings it differently. Everybody has different feelings. Surely you've got to identify how that person thinks, feels, and reacts first and foremost before you engage in any kind of technical advice. And yeah, it was very, very dark time. I remember that same week, Carol said to me, "So, come on," he said, all good golfers have a visual catalogue. An imaginary catalogue of great shots that they've hit over the time, shots that you can visualise, at important times when you're out there. Now, this was, like you said, in 2005. Being a tour pro for 12 years, I couldn't remember one. Couldn't remember one good shot. I'd never thought about it. I'd never been trained in that way of thinking. And I'd gotten so dark and so deep that all I was concentrating, thinking about was how not to hit bad shots. So I had a huge category of catalogue of poor shots, bad shots that I was anxious not to replicate. And of course, when you worry about things like that, you end up hitting them in any case. So that was particularly horrible. And by the stage, a sport that I loved, a hobby turned job or game that I absolutely adored, that was in my blood, that I couldn't do without. I was starting to feel, very, starting to fall out of love with it massively, and that's even before economically it became almost impossible.
And then, look, you're looking at, I suppose, if we fast forward maybe about 10 years, then you got involved with the Scottish Union, with the Performance Committee. I think at the time, a word that is used around was that you detested the system effectively. And I think you and Katrina Matthew then came in and you tried to change things. And I know there wasn't many Scottish players on the tour at the moment yet. Amateur-wise, they were fantastic. That the transition from amateur to professional was light years apart, And I'm wondering what did you bring to the table in terms of changing that whole situation?
Well, the ethos pretty much was that whoever was the national coach at the time was almost tantamount to saying that is the best coach in the country. Which although they may be a very good coach, that doesn't make sense. Just because you apply for a role doesn't make you the best coach. I would argue that some of the best coaches are the ones that brought these individual players, boys and girls, up from 10, 11, 12 years old to then be competing at that level. And unfortunately, I think what was happening was we had a central coach, and I know it happens in the other golfing unions, who would cast their eye over each individual player and again throw their idea about how they should be swinging the golf club over that player. That's what I abhor, because golf isn't like that. Thankfully, we're seeing it more and more often now on the PGA Tour, the European Tour, etc., etc., etc. We're seeing more individual golf swings because we can see that there's far more than one way to swing a golf club. But that wasn't the case in the sort of late 80s, mid 90s, and so on. In fact, it was Rory McIlroy, I believe, who went on record as saying you could see the Scottish team a mile away because they all swing it the same. Now that's alarming. That's alarming. You can't have 11, 12 players swinging the same. Golf's not like that. It's not like that. So whatever these kids were being taught at their golf clubs in their counties was potentially being deconstructed and reconstructed at a national level. And again, I go back to, there's no measure for what that does to the person's confidence. There's no measure of how much self-belief that erases. Sure, they might be swinging the golf club to conform to a certain technique or standard, but do they know where the golf ball's going? I'd question that. Did they fall into the trap that I fell into, where all they're doing is working on swing and forgetting how to play golf? Can they string birdies together when they're needed? Where is the mentality when they're out there when things are going well? Where is the mentality when they're out there when things are going badly? What are their fitness levels like? How strong are they coming down the last 9 holes when the pressure's on? What are they like about dealing with pressure? What are they like about health-wise, in terms of diet and things like that? We were focusing and had been focusing on one piece of the puzzle, one piece of the pie, and that was golf swing, and that was basically standing in the golf on the range, playing range golf, which is utterly useless, if you ask me. And hopefully we brought in this notion that the lead coach in the governing body had to work much more hand in hand with the coaches. They understood and knew these kids from a very, very young age, understood how they ticked, understood how they felt, how they thought. The job of the lead coach is to tap into that and improve that, not deconstruct a golf swing that has got them to that position in the first place and try and build them a new one at possibly one of the most crucial developmental stages of their career.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's what started to drip feed its way into the Scottish region, and I'd like to think it started to drip feed its way into other national regions.
Hi, I'm Ewan Murray, and you're listening to the 3 Off the Tee Golf Podcast with PGA professionals Harry Ewing and Ian St John.
Yeah, you're thinking about a thing that Gary Nichols said, where he prefers to be called a shot coach rather than a swing coach, which I thought was very good, because essentially that is, as you said, they don't know the person. And what happens to a guy that's just on tour? He's out in the morning, shoots 74, and he's got the rest of the afternoon, he's got the following morning just to sit around. What's he doing in the meantime? Where's his brain at there? So it's far different to the way it was 20 years ago. But it must be a frustrating thing for you now, because at the time, if you'd known that, you would have gone to a performance coach, and it would have been about not shot making, but actually what you were doing with your hands at the club face at Impact. A frustrating time as well.
I think I think the term coach. To me, a lot of these people are swing technicians and not coaches. They might be improving the coach. They might be improving your swing or getting your swing into a certain situation. But coaching is about helping you grow, mature, develop through your career, and that's more than just swinging a golf club. Much more than just swinging a golf club. I'm trying to relate it. Kind of relate it to Porrick Harrington. I mean, Porrick Harrington was never ever one of the best ball strikers. He turned into one of the best ball strikers on tour, but he was one of the best players in the world. Obviously, his results now prove that. But he never lost the knack of playing golf. He never got sucked in to the swing thing. I don't feel anyway. Although Porrick will say he did, and then he didn't, and then he didn't, and then he did. but Porrick was one of the best ever at playing golf. He knew his game inside out. And again, that's an element that these kids were not being taught. They weren't being taught how to maximise their potential. Everybody was to be seen to be, a fairway hitter in a green in regulation. Well, not everybody's not like that. The Porrick was a great example. Porrick was never somebody like that. But my God, give him a 9-iron or an 8-iron down in his hand, and he'd kick your backside every single time. This guy was phenomenal when he had, and as a match player, he was ruthless. You think you've got a chance of winning the hole, chips it in from 40 yards off the green, and you're shaking your head. That's golf. That's how you play golf. Golf's not about swinging a golf club. So, not sure whether I've answered your question there, Ian. But I just, performance is much more than just swing performance. Performance, ultimately, every single day comes down to that little box at the end where you fill in a couple of numbers and how low they are. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter. You can put a good number in there and actually have hit the ball poorly. But I'll tell you what, somebody said to me, I'll show you how good a player is by how good a score he shoots when he's playing poorly. And that's the test of a good player.
I just one last question on that subject as well, Andrew. If I was to put a question to that, in terms of a top, say a tour player, in terms of their swing in percentage-wise, how important it is in terms of their whole game, their golf swing? Yeah, I'd probably say, with everything else that's involved in order to become an elite athlete at golf, I'd say it's about 20%. 20? Yeah. 20, really? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you get short game, you get mental ability, concentration. You get breathing techniques that you got to employ. You've got self-belief. You've got strategy. You've got, like I said, fitness, diet. By the time you add all these things together, as long as your swing is replicating itself, but don't take a swing, deconstruct it, and tell somebody that swing is going to make you a better player, because there's absolutely zero guarantee that can happen. But if your golf swing is replicating itself regularly, but you're tired, you planned your schedule poorly, not eating well, not exercising, not stretching, not looking after your body, your swing might be one of the best swings in the world, but if you can't handle the pressure and can't breathe when you're under the cosh, then it doesn't matter how good it is or how much it's replicating itself. It's going to break down under those circumstances. Yeah.
Hugely interesting. Andrew, in your current role, obviously out on the fairways, you mentioned about in your playing career how much fun and how much of a buzz and everything that was. Tell us about the dynamic now. You're a good long time with Sky now. Do you enjoy the travel? Do you enjoy being at events in this new role? I'm sure there's great fun, but it is work. Talk to us about your experience of being with Sky over the last 10 or more years.
Yeah, it's great. They actually pay me for this. Well, one of the best bits is not having to lug your golf courses to every airport at 6 o'clock in the morning and worry whether or not your golf clubs are going to be there when you arrive. That's a massive plus. I don't miss that at all. Look, like I said, I've said before, we got a fantastic team. It's a great buzz, great bunch of producers, directors. Going out there, still being involved in golf, and still knowing that you don't have to hole a putt. on a Friday afternoon to worry about whether or not you're going to get paid is massive. Being inside the ropes, feeling the buzz of these, incredible events as they play out. The Open Championship last year, Royal Portrush, will be one that will stick with me until my grave. Geez, the hairs have just gone up the back of my neck again. that kind of thing is just ridiculously fortunate to have the opportunity to be able to do that and to try and verbalise the emotions that I'm feeling and that I'm seeing out there to the people that are watching through the TV screens is great. It's a great buzz. And it's great still to be involved in this game that the best game in the world that we all love.
Absolutely. And tell me, you just mentioned it, we all love. I know you said you're not playing a whole lot, but would you still feel, at this stage, you're still in love with the game? Do you miss the opportunity to maybe play more, or does it not bother you that much that you're not playing that much?
Doesn't bother me at all.
Right, so Messrs. Radar, Riley, Ewan Murray, these guys, they might take a few quid off you pretty easy if they can get you out onto the golf course in Sunningdale then.
Oh, no, with a funny story. Radar was begging for a game of golf tail end of last year. Begging for, we've got to go and play golf, Aye, okay. Aye, all right. So we're very, very, very fortunate to get a game of golf round this golf course. Went out with Radar and Rob Lee. We only played 8. The weather was that bad. We only managed to get 8 holes in. Radar lost 6 golf balls. but on this golf, it was the third last golf hole that we played. And we know Radar finally managed to hit a good drive because there was the little twirl of the golf club at the top of the backswing and almost the little skip in his step. And this trajectile managed to head off in the general direction of the fairway. And, he's flushed it. And we get down there and there's 2 balls 40 yards past this ball. And, of course, Rob Lee sort of plays the trick on him, stands up there and stands up to the first ball. Of course, by now you figured out it was Wayne up to the second ball. Now, he's absolutely flushed it, and he's cock of the walk, and he's walking down it. Oh, this is fantastic. He says, I finally managed to get this one. Nearly in tears when he had to go back and hit 3 wood into a par 4 hole. We were going in with 6 iron though. So, Radar still needs to work a wee bit more at his golf game.
Oh, Andrew, I think you might live to regret this little story. I don't know, Andrew.
Look, we might have to pass it on, Harry, I'd say, really.
Oh, I think we'll pass it on, all right. Look, Andrew, it brings us nicely on. We always finish our pieces with a rapid-fire round of questions. There's a lot of questions, 18 questions over 18 holes. So to kick it off, we'd like to play it with you on your favourite course. So if you're to identify your favourite course anywhere in the world.
All right, well, that is the home of this great game, which is the Old Course at St Andrews.
Brilliant. Great answer. Absolutely. Right. Well, let's tee it up there. I'm going to kick off first. The best shot you've ever seen while commentating?
Oh, God. How long?
Go on, I'll give you as long as you want. Surely one must come to mind.
Best shot I've ever seen while commentating. One of the best shots I saw while commentating, Rory McIlroy, 13th hole, Ryder Cup. Good God, who was he playing? He was playing with Hatton or Poulter. On the banking of the penalty area down the right-hand side to the island green between the trees.
Yes, I remember.
Poulter.
Unplayable. He nearly broke his back or split the back side of his trousers. He was up to bend over that much to hit this shot. And he hit it to about 20 feet, and I think they won the hole.
Yeah, brilliant. I remember it.
Massive success. Massive disaster into success.
Yeah, very good. Next one, the best shot you've ever played. I know you said you don't have much memories of them, but you must pull one for us. Maybe it was that drive against Radar.
I'll take that hole-in-one at the Old Course at St Andrews. Any day you get a hole-in-one's pretty special, but to do it at the home of golf was fantastic in that 95 final of the Dunhill Link.
Brilliant.
Very nice. Bucket list course you haven't played.
Sorry, Ian, what was that?
Sorry, bucket list course you haven't played. So
one that I constantly get a massive ribbing over is what's that one over in America where if you win you get a nice green jacket? What's that?
That one, yeah. That one.
I've never managed to play that one. Move on.
Right, best gym buddy, Nick Dougherty or Rich Beem?
Now, you're going to be surprised at this. Rich Beem actually won a planking. That's not because he's a plank. He won a planking competition. In our hotel, which there was a quiz night, which we all took part in, and for some reason ended up planking. And Rich Beem won a planking competition on that quiz night. But I've never actually seen him in a gym. Nick Dougherty, definitely my best gym buddy, because he can do hardly anything in the gym.
Right, next one.
Light stretching.
Light stretching. We'll move on to the next one. Your favourite takeaway?
Beef curry and boiled rice.
All right, okay. And then to wash it down, beer or wine?
What, the curry? It's got to be a beer.
Be a beer, okay.
Right, favourite week of the year?
Yeah, the Dunhill up at St Andrews, even still.
Very nice. Right, we have a time machine, as crazy as that sounds. Do you want to go into the future or the past?
The past.
Why?
Play alongside the likes of Hogan, more of Nicholas, that kind of thing.
Very good. Yeah.
Very nice.
Cool. Right. Next one.
And I was hitting the ball reasonably far in those days.
The worst major championship setup you've played or seen?
I only managed to play one US Open, and that was pretty brutal. Now, just to try and qualify that, the condition of the golf course was exceptional, as you would expect, but it was so claustrophobic, not because of the spectators. The pressure on every single tee shot was ridiculous. I think it was 95 or something in Congressional where Ernie won. I think, is that right?
97, yep.
97, was it? And my goodness, I've never been under so much pressure on the tee. Just could hardly breathe. It was sort of a hit and hope to try and find the fairway, and I was quite accurate. It was just an absolute brute. Made the cut, but finished way down the field. Really stringent.
Very good. If you were playing in the final of the World Darts Championship, what's your walk-on music, Andrew?
Who are you? I can't remember who sung that. Who are you?
Yeah, give us the chorus there. We'll look it up.
Favorite major championship winning moment?
Still a toss-up between. I mean, I'm still old school. Possibly Seve, 84 St Andrews.
Okay. Draw or fade?
I faded it most of my career.
Very good. Now back to Radar again. I really want to know the answer to this one. Radar Riley, jokes funny or not so much?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I thought as much. Yeah, absolutely. Your favourite movie, Andrew?
Well, apart from Braveheart, it would probably be The Untouchables.
All right, very good.
Right, I'm moving on to that one. I suppose movies or box sets?
Movies.
All right, next one. Are you a true Scotsman?
Always.
Always brilliant. Next, last couple here now. Shane Lowry's Open or Tiger's Masters last year?
Well, I was only at one. Good grief, that's a good question. I mean, both hugely sort of groundbreaking. And the difficult, with a couple of Irishmen staring at you. Look, I was there. The ground was shaking. Open win at Royal Portrush.
Very good. Last thing, dream 4-ball.
Dream 4-ball. Yeah, it would be Nicholas, Debbie, my father and myself.
Brilliant.
Lovely, very nice, very nice. Right, and that's it. We're done. Hope you've survived anyway, so fair play to you. It's probably gone over a little bit longer, so thanks very much for your time. Listen, we love listening to you on Sky Sports. Give our best to all the other guys there. Have a great season whenever we get back out, if it's going to happen at all. But, maybe it could be a pretty interesting time, maybe October, November, hopefully, if we've got a major championship then in Augusta. So listen, again, thanks very much for your time, and we'll talk to you again.
Absolute pleasure, boys. All the best. Have a great one during these difficult times and stay safe.
Okay, that was Andrew Coltart for the last hour. Great fun, great insight to the European Tour and also the Ryder Cup and that. I suppose, Harry, an interesting one there was the gamesmanship between himself and Tiger at Brookline in '99, where he said to Andrew about, you haven't played this hole before, it's a dogleg right to left par 4. I thought that was priceless.
Yeah, absolute classic. Yeah, a bit cheeky. The fact that Coltart was benched the first couple of days. He wasn't the only one, as we heard, to be benched. But a bit cheeky from Tiger. But I thought Coltart's response that they halved it in 5, so it didn't really work for Tiger. But amazing insight. He's had some career, in fairness, to make it onto the European Tour is a huge achievement. To win when you're there is even better, and then to have that Ryder Cup moment and to have that experience, and look, he's still involved in the game and still loves the game, and God, I'd be hugely envious of the view that he gets of tournament golf these days, being inside the ropes, and as he said, that moment in Portrush, as it was for me, would stay with you for the rest of your life. So great interview, and really, really interesting insight into the behind the scenes of tour golf.
Yeah, very, very much so. And the fact that you asked him, did he miss golf at all? And he said, just immediately, didn't even take a second. And he said, not one bit. And I just thought, I couldn't believe that, actually. I couldn't believe I thought he would, being around it. And he's probably thinking, still in the back of his head, you know what, I could still have a go. But obviously he's getting towards the 50, the Hawaii 5-0 now this year. So, look, great character, and some fascinating information we got out of him too,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I hope you enjoyed it, folks. Please, again, subscribe to the podcast. Please have a look and find us on the different social media channels. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're also on Instagram. The Facebook page is 3 Off the Tee, and our Twitter and Instagram handles are 3 Off the 1 Tee. So please have a look for us there. Find us, like, share and comment. We want as much feedback from these episodes as well, or if you have any guests that you'd like us to maybe try and get a hold of over the coming weeks, please give us some idea as who you'd like to hear from as well. Also, please subscribe. If you subscribe, it's free to do so, and you'll get automatic notifications then of when we have a new podcast out. We must thank our sponsor as well, Club Choice Ireland, for being involved with us and sponsoring these episodes, so that's hugely appreciated. And please, everyone, go and visit clubchoice.ie. So until we speak again, Ian, you stay safe, and we'll chat again next week, Ian.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Harry. Good guest now this for next week as well, which will be interesting.
Lovely. Cheers. Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.
Christy O'Connor, second to the 18th.
Lovely flight. It's a shame it's 25 yards left.
I'm going to leave y'all on one thought, and then we'll leave. I'm a big believer in fate. I have a good feeling about this. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Oh, would you look at that?
It's a 4-iron, man.
Stay still, give me my face. I know you're nervous, but I'm too. Touch of class, baby.
Touch of class.
Touch of class.